Hey, I'm Jesse Kane. We're up here on the northern Oregon coast, and we're going to be talking about razor clams, specifically how to dig for razor clams. So razor clams are what's known as a surf clam, meaning we're going to find them on the surf out here. So unlike the bay clams, we're going to actually find them in a beach environment. Now, probably 80–90% of razor clamming is done on the Clatsop beaches up here in the north, but there's great razor clam digging all the way down, some little hidey holes. So make sure to do your research in your local areas. There's probably somewhere to get this done. So when you're out here, you need to consider safety differently than you do on the bay. You gotta make sure you're keeping an eye on the ocean at all times. You have those sneaker waves coming in, and it's really easy to get locked into what you're doing and then get hammered by a wave, get wet, you might even get swept out. So make sure you're being safe, use the buddy system, make sure you're with somebody out here. So other than that, what you need is either a shovel or a gun. Now, most beginners are going to use a gun. They'll be directed towards a gun. Most shell fishing is done this way for razor clams. But the professionals and our biologists would encourage everybody to use a shovel. It's less destructive when you're going down. If you hit juveniles, you break shells, things like that, it's easier to control what you're doing with the shovel. So I'm going to show you how to do both. Now, as a newbie myself, I learned how to use a gun first. So all this gun is a big open tube here with a handle, and this is all aired together. So there's a hole right here that you'll put your finger on to create a vacuum, and that's how you suck the sand out. So next thing, we come in here, you're really just walking down the beach. A lot of people do is hammer the sand like this, and that's going to create those shows. So a show is just a small hole about the size of a dime. Once you find one, you're going to want to orient towards the ocean. These things are going to be leaning towards the water at a fairly dramatic angle. So I come in, first take your gun right over the show. So I know where I want to be, make sure it's in the center. I'm going to come straight up, find that hole underneath there, lean it back at a pretty good angle towards the ocean, and start shimmying it in. Now, you have to keep the first 15 that you dig regardless of condition. So one thing you don't want to do is break the shell on these. So when you go in very softly, very gingerly. I do just side to side or up and down motions, real soft. And if you hear a crunch, pull back, readjust your gun. And so I'm getting pretty far in there. It's about the full length of that. So once I've got it locked in there, I'm going to create that vacuum by pressing my finger on that hole, locking that in, and you'll be able to pull up. Make sure you're pulling with your legs, not your back. And just like that, we'll be able to pull it out. So we got lucky here. We didn't crunch them. We didn't even know we were down that deep. And we have this razor clam in our tube. Break it open. And you can get your limit of 15. The first ones you dig, because it's very difficult to put these back in the hole and expect them to orient properly. So keep the first 15 you dig, even if you crack it. If you crack it, it's fine. The meat is still good. Everything's still good. If they have a real dark color, they're still good. These things aren't going to be diseased or anything like that. So the first 15 you find, you want to make sure you're taking home and eating. So that's how you do it with the gun. In order to use our shovel, we're going to do something pretty similar. So a lot of people say go on the back side, go on the front side. I've been instructed to go from the side. So I find my show, and I'm going to go maybe 2 or 3 inches to the side, going straight down with my shovel. I'm just going to bury it. Once you bury your shovel, you give it a slight shimmy towards that. What you don't want to do is hit the clam with the shovel. So go slight, lean it forward, and then I hit my knee and just kind of move that dirt up and out. You want to do this, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. So shimmy it down, get a little depth, and then I'm keeping that blade fairly vertical as I'm pulling it up and out to make sure if I do get to that clam that I'm not going to be breaking that shell. Once you get down to a good depth, just little sideways motions with your hand so I can feel it right there that quickly. And you're just shimmying your hand like this down beside it. And they have very ginger shells, so make sure you're not squeezing on it. Nice and easy, you pull that up and out of the sand. So what I did is just shimmy my hand in like that, got a hold of it, and then just shimmied that on up and out. So that's how you use the shovel. Now, like I said, most pros are going to use the shovel. Most newbies are going to use the tube. Both of them work real good. The key is make sure you're not breaking the shell when you're getting down there. So the other thing to consider is that we're up a little bit higher, so they're gonna be a little bit deeper. When you're down in the surf, oftentimes you'll find them a little closer to the surface. It's a great place to go with a shovel. And then you're just gonna want to pound like that. And that's how you're gonna find those dimples. You'll find 3 different types of shows. A keyhole, which is gonna be a true hole in the sand. You're gonna be able to see it all the way down about the size of a dime. A dimple will just be a very slight disruption in the sand. And you'll find them all over the place and not know. So I dug 5 or 6 of those earlier today, and 4 of the 5 were actually clams. So that's a great way to see it. And then lastly is a donut, where it'll be a hole, but a nice unison sand pile around it. Kind of looks exactly like a donut in the sand. So once you find those, get out here, start digging. Know that you're gonna need to walk around. These things are dispersed pretty widely on this beach. So keep walking, go out, enjoy the family, enjoy the dog, keep your eyes on the ocean, and stay safe.